The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Coming down the aisle, Matt, Dave, the SuperPlex Brothers! Hey everybody, welcome back to the SuperPlex Brothers. This is podcast number 3, and if we're going by Mario logic, that means this is going to be the best one. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And, of course, like usual, we are going to just kick right into the show and start off with wrestling. Of course, as you know, this is a video game and wrestling podcast, and we're going to start off with wrestling. And, like usual, obviously, since we can't watch SmackDown in the future, well, we're going to start with SmackDown from last week. So, yeah. More continuation of the Daniel Bryan storyline. First thing that happens is, The Miz comes out. Yeah, because when you think of the Daniel Bryan storyline, you think of The Miz. Miz comes out, and it's a Miz TV segment with Dolph Ziggler and The Big Show.
Yay.
And basically, Miz is trying to, they go about this segment like they're talking about, like they want to talk about how they truly feel about how Triple H has been running things. And, well, that doesn't last long. Basically, none of them can actually say anything. Big Show looks like he's about to cry, which apparently would become a theme anytime he comes out now.
It's not.
And Dolph Ziggler just wouldn't say anything either. So anyway, Triple H comes out, and Triple H basically is funny and all that. Triple H is a douche. It's pretty much what you expect. Triple H is probably the best part of this whole storyline right now, and honestly, he's not supposed to be.
Exactly.
But I guess you know how Triple H storylines usually work, that's generally what happens. So anyway, Triple H books a match between The Miz and Randy Orton, and he also books a match between Dolph Ziggler and The Shield in a handicap match.
Never seen that before.
Indeed, because he says that Dolph Ziggler wanted revenge against The Shield. So anyway, after that, Miz is told that, well, since you came out in your ring gear, that's a good thing because, your match is next, and he's facing Randy Orton. And it's a Miz match. What do you expect?
Ooh. Okay, why do you really hate The Miz that much?
It's not that I hate The Miz, it's just that Miz matches kind of bore me. And not to mention he's working with Randy Orton, too.
That's more fair.
So, I mean, it's not so much it's hard to explain without coming off like a complete asshole who's just burying people.
No, feel free. This is a podcast. We can say what we want to say.
But Miz kinda... he bores me. He really does. Like, his wrestling style is okay in some matches. If he works with the right people, he can do fine. But like Randy Orton, he's only good when he works with the right people. And lately, he really hasn't been working with the right people. So, Miz matches, really not... Although Miz does that figure 4 so fucking awfully, it's not even funny. It's actually depressing.
I'll give you that. I will give you that.
In fact, I was the first to say that when Ric Flair came back and was managing people, he should have went with Dolph Ziggler.
Yep.
I mean, come on. The Nature Boy Dolph Ziggler even has a ring to it.
Right.
I mean, that sounds right. So anyway, Randy Orton wins. It's pretty much what you expect. What else happened after that? I don't really remember SmackDown that much.
Because it wasn't that memorable of a show.
Oh, you know what? We forgot to talk about what Big Show had to do. Um, Big Show was forced to sit on the outside throughout all of SmackDown and watch everything that happens. There, you know everything that Big Show had to do this SmackDown.
Sounds exciting.
Um, after the match, after the Miz match, the Shield come out and start to beat the shit out of the Miz. And Daniel Bryan runs out and makes the save, and he actually comes with a chair, and he looks strong. Gasp! Daniel Bryan actually looks competent and strong.
But it's not against the actual WWE champion.
It's against the Mooks. I mean, the Shield.
The goons.
Um. So anyway, after that, Vicky Guerrero is in the back, uh, and she's pissed off at Daniel Bryan, and says that Daniel Bryan's a bully.
Wow.
He is a bully, and he needs to be punished. And if you're gonna fight, and if you're gonna be a bully, then you need to fight a bully. And she books Daniel Bryan versus Ryback. And Ryback comes in, and see you out there, shrimp. Basically calls him shorty and all that. It's pretty much what you'd expect from O'Doyle back. So, of course, we then get the Raw Rebound, which is a video package of the thing that happened on Monday. With the whole Paul Heyman shtick. So, yeah. It was also announced that Paul Heyman will take on CM Punk in a 2-on-1 handicap elimination match at Night of Champions. Which, for some reason, isn't for the Intercontinental title. Despite the fact that it's Night of Champions, and the Intercontinental Champion is in a non-title match.
Maybe it'll be added in on Raw next
Either
week.
that or Axel quickly loses it somehow.
So that'd be lame as shit, though.
Yeah, it would be, but, it's WWE. This is the kind of shit they do.
You're right.
So, Ricardo Rodriguez comes out on the stage. Ricardo Rodriguez, try saying that 5 times fast. Comes out on the stage and he introduces Rob Van Dam, the savior of the Latin people. Seriously.
So
Am,
weird. So
am I the
weird.
only one who thinks that this has basically become an inside joke with WWE?
Probably not. No.
No, seriously, think about this. They paired Ricardo Rodriguez with Rob Van Dam. Think about that for a minute. I'll give you 5 seconds. Do 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 do.
It's because they both smoke pot.
Bingo! Ricardo Rodriguez just got in trouble for wellness and was
Having some
suspended.
fun.
He got in trouble for wellness and was suspended. And when he comes back, they put him with the biggest pothead in all of wrestling. Not that that's a bad thing. We don't judge here on the SuperPlex Brothers.
I
But,
judge.
but, it's still pretty funny. We get Rob Van Dam versus Damian Sandow. And Rob Van Dam wins. I guess this is a good time to talk about Damian Sandow for a minute. Damian Sandow has been
Awesome
looking
puppet.
like shit.
Yeah. Despite the fact he's Money in the Bank.
Which is not uncommon. It's not uncommon. They always make the Money in the Bank holder look like complete shit before he cashes in. So hopefully that means Sandow will have a long and wonderful world title reign.
But knowing WWE, it's not happening.
So after the match, Alberto's music hits. The WWE World Heavyweight Champion comes out on the stage, and Del Rio says the RVD is the number one contender for his championship, but he only got the opportunity because the person standing next to him, Ricardo Rodriguez, betrayed his own people.
And he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
He says that Ricardo Rodriguez betrayed the Latinos. And Del Rio tells RVD to remember that when you sleep with dogs, you get the fleas. And Del Rio then says the RVD chant is stupid, and RVD may have the rolling thunder, but he's going to make it rain all over his parade. Because puns are threatening.
You didn't know that? That was
I
a
always know
rule.
that. And you pretty much get the whole, he raises the championship over his head and nobody gives a shit. We then move on to The Shield versus Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler starts against Seth Rollins. It's pretty much what you would expect. It's The Shield eventually win. Dolph Ziggler looks awesome. And Dolph Ziggler sells everything like a fucking master. But The Shield wins.
Expected.
So, after the match, The Shield stares at the Big Show as he looks on with a sad look on his face. They then wait for Ziggler to get up, choke him on the ropes for a little bit in front of the Big Show. And they even goad the Big Show to try and get in the ring. But he just kind of looks at them. And then they do the triple powerbomb on Ziggler, and everybody's happy. And Big Show looked like he was going to cry again. Yeah, you're going to be hearing that a lot throughout SmackDown and Raw.
Ugh.
So, after the commercial break, Paul Heyman responds to the Night of Champions match. Paul Heyman comes out and cuts an awesome promo. It's pretty much what you'd expect. So, after that, we then get Tons of Funk versus the Wyatt family. And the Wyatt family wins. I mean, is there really anything more to that?
Not really. At this point, not really, and that's kind of depressing.
We get another vignette for Los Matadors, who I am looking forward to. Because I love cheesy gimmicks in the tag team division. Absolutely love cheesy gimmicks in the tag team division. I hope that Los Matadors do well. I know it is Primo and Epico who are behind the masks. And definitely getting some Deuce and Domino vibes, which I like Deuce and Domino, and I will fight anyone who doesn't.
But you know what's honestly pissing me off is that the internet wrestling community is shitting all over them just because they know it's Primo and Epico.
A lot of people are shitting on them because, they're too gimmicky. Bullfighters, they already tried that once with Tito Santana, and he was a mid-carder for life. So what? There's a place for that on the roster. Not everybody can be a main eventer. And sometimes you just need a fun gimmick. Which is
Yep.
funny because everyone says, oh, WWE are assholes for not bringing in the El Generico character. Oh, okay. So Los Matadors, that's too gimmicky, but El Generico, perfectly fine and should have been a main eventer. Yeah, okay.
IWC, man.
Don't even get me started. So anyway, Daniel Bryan versus Ryback is next, and they have a good match. Pretty much what you'd expect. Daniel Bryan won by disqualification. Orton came down to the ring, stared at him from the ring, and I think, the Shield beat him down, and Randy Orton just,
Did
bunch of
Randy
shit
Orton? He
happens.
did Randy Orton crap, man.
Yeah, more Randy Orton. Oh yeah, this is when they spray painted him. The Shield beat the crap out of Randy Orton. Randy Orton hits an RKO, and they spray paint no on Daniel Bryan because of the whole Escalade thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Escalade.
The Escalade.
But
Too
yeah.
funny for me.
This SmackDown, you really didn't need to watch it.
I didn't.
Oh, yeah, he didn't. Oh yeah, there was more Big Show crying.
Because that's what everyone wants to see.
Big Show actually was gonna get in the ring to stop the Shield from beating up Daniel Bryan, but Triple H came down and yelled at the Big Show like he was the big bitch. And Big Show basically got outside the ring and started crying like a bitch.
Because he is a bitch.
Indeed. So that is SmackDown. All in all, you could have missed this and not really be worse for wear. It's pretty much what you would have expected. Just building up shit, establishing more shit, and Daniel Bryan losing.
This is a piss off.
And with that, we now move on to Raw. Raw starts off with Triple H in the ring and introducing Orton. The Shield are on the outside. Orton claims that disrespecting him is disrespecting the company, and that whoever does that needs to be dealt with. By the way, the crowd pretty hot during this promo. Um, Not super hot, but they did the typical yes and no chants. At this point, when Randy Orton is talking, they are chanting no. And Randy Orton cites Daniel Bryan as an example, and the crowd immediately erupts in yes chants.
As they
Orton,
should.
yes. Orton talks about Daniel Bryan vandalizing his car, and Orton claims in response he had no choice but to deface Daniel Bryan with the spray paint, and he was talking about the end of SmackDown, of course. Orton decides to play a question and answer game with the audience. He asks them, should Daniel Bryan face Randy Orton at Night of Champions for the WWE title? Of course, the crowd erupts into chants, and Orton immediately says no. Does Daniel
Typical.
Bryan even have the slightest bit in hell of defeating me at Night of Champions? Says Randy Orton. And of course, the crowd is going to chant yes, and Orton goes, no. Will Daniel Bryan ever amount to anything here in the WWE, or will he always be a B-plus player? There's that phrase again.
Everyone's favorite fucking phrase that makes Ryan just seem less and less credible because they're really trying to shove it down everyone's throats.
Indeed, and Randy Orton asks the final question. Should Daniel Bryan give up his opportunity to face him at Night of Champions for the WWE title? And Orton screams yes. Triple H then says that he needs to put out the best product each and every week, claiming he does it for the fans. He then says he needs to ensure the health of all the divas and the wrestlers. He says he's worried about the health and welfare of Daniel Bryan and claims that his ego got him into trouble.
Oh, come on!
Yep. He then blames the crowd for not helping and blames the yes chants. This is typical heel shenanigans. That's pretty much what you'd expect. He also says that they're confusing popularity for what's best for business, and popularity doesn't mean best for business. He then gives an example of Doink the Clown and says that, well, Doink the Clown was popular as hell, and Doink the Clown wasn't best for business, so they weren't going to put the fucking title on him. You goddamn bastards! Which is funny, too, because the original Doink the Clown, Matt Bourne, died not that long ago.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like 2 nights ago, like 2 months ago? Yeah, 2 nights ago. Like 2 months ago, maybe, or maybe a month ago. But I know he did die over the summer. Shame, too. Matt Bourne was awesome. Of course, some people were like, well, Triple H dug up Doink the Clown and reburied him. Even though the Doink the Clown gimmick moved on to the Brooklyn Brawler and Chris Jericho for one time.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, like I said, he claims that Doink was never champion material because it's bad for business. And he says Daniel Bryan won't be championship material for the same reason. But then he teases him with bringing back the Cruiserweight or European title.
Which would not be a bad idea, but
Yeah, but, it's not going to happen.
oh no, not even a little bit.
Daniel Bryan comes out, and honestly, one of the funniest commentary moments of the night, JBL says, here comes the next Cruiserweight champion. That was pretty funny. Daniel Bryan says he's thrilled to be compared for Doink the Clown as the crowd chants for Daniel Bryan. Although Daniel Bryan points out that Doink the Clown never got loud chants back in 1992. Of course he didn't. He wasn't in the company then. Doink the Clown came in 1993, I think.
Oh wow, good job, Daniel Bryan, knowing your wrestling history.
And not only that, but Doink the Clown was a heel when he first came in. If Doink the Clown ever were to get chants like that, which he never did, it would have been in like 94 when he turned face, and at that point I think the Brooklyn Brawler took over. So, yeah. He then says that the only clowns in the ring are Randy Orton and Triple H. And then he says that Triple H gave up being a man to become a corporate sellout. And he says that Randy Orton gave up being in the title picture until someone gave him the belt. It's a much better promo than what he cut on SmackDown last week, or 2 weeks ago, when he just kept calling Orton pretty.
Right.
Um, and then he immediately says that, and then he immediately asks the question, is Randy Orton more masculine than Stephanie McMahon? And he immediately says no. Which basically is the same thing as, you're pretty. So there goes
You're
any
pretty.
and there goes any and all of that praise out the window. Orton then says that Daniel Bryan will learn his lesson, and Daniel Bryan then talks about how he was told how he can't do better all his life. It's the same speech when he faced Cena. The whole, everybody told me I couldn't do it, and you were given everything, and I had to work my way. It's the same thing.
Which, once again, depressing.
Which, it's the same speech, except change John Cena for Randy Orton. It's the same speech. You already know this stuff. Yeah, basically the whole says Orton will never understand because he was given everything. He was given everything, same speech. Um, he then says that they're scared of Daniel Bryan uh, because Daniel Bryan can win, and they constantly triple team him and put him through all this bullshit because they're afraid of him. So they did at least establish this, you know,
Yeah.
just not in a very good way. And of course, he uses the catchphrase that Randy Orton has the genetics but lacks the heart of a champion. And Triple H immediately interrupts him with, "You mad, bro?"
Ugh.
Not his exact words. He calls him a grumpy little troll, says he's too angry, and says that he should blame the Big Show. Um, he also mentions the ironclad contract, says Big Show should be helping him, but instead he cries. And then he decides that Daniel Bryan needs to get his anger out on the Big Show and books the Big Show versus Daniel Bryan for the main event.
Which I actually saw that.
Honestly, opening segment was all right. I mean, if this was the segment that they had last week instead of the Escalade and you're pretty, this would have been better.
Yep.
But
But I think,
alas,
as we'll get to in a moment, this is the night this storyline dies for me.
yeah, but I digress. We then see Triple H and Randy Orton backstage talking about everything that happened, and they're laughing it up. And then they pass by Cody Rhodes, and they ask Cody how Dusty is. Cody asks Orton why he's avoiding Daniel Bryan. Says Daniel Bryan versus Orton is what's best for business. Triple H, in a fit of anger, although he doesn't actually flat out say he's angry, but he says that Daniel Bryan or Cody Rhodes will be booked against Randy Orton because, you know, why the fuck not? You got nothing else better to do. But he says that he's going to book Randy Orton against Cody Rhodes, and if Cody Rhodes doesn't win, he's going to lose his job.
Dun dun dun.
Um, yeah, so we pretty much established something that's going to happen later tonight. Fandango comes out, Miz comes out. Miz beats Fandango with that shitty figure 4
Moving on.
match over. We get a recap of the Heyman, Punk, and Axel segment. Jesus fucking Christ. This recap is going to play throughout the night almost all the fucking time. They played it like 3 times, I shit you not.
It will also appear on other shows this week.
And when I tell you it was going on forever, that promo was like 10 minutes long. So that's basically a half hour they wasted on that one fucking hype video. So anyway, Booker T talks to Daniel Bryan in the back. Says that Daniel Bryan needs to think of his career and stop fighting the machine. Says that he's too good to go back to the indies. Daniel Bryan then says, tell me you did not just say that. And says that this isn't about money, but it's about his life and how he wants to be a WWE wrestler. Booker T then basically says, "You got to think of your career, kid. You know that superhero D brah."
I don't like how Booker T has taken the side of the Triple H Corporation.
He says that he likes. It wasn't so much that he was taking the side of the corporation. It was just that he was trying to tell Daniel Bryan he's got to kind of cool back because he's only going to get himself killed out there, basically. And then of
Even
course,
then,
we get another recap of the Punk Heyman stuff.
they were that close to each other.
Yeah.
Wow, that's bad TV. I mean,
So
the segment was awesome, but
yeah. So Dolph Ziggler comes out and he's told that he's going to have a mystery opponent, and then it cuts to a commercial.
awesome.
All of a sudden, Dean Ambrose comes out from behind and attacks Dolph Ziggler, and the commentary is basically saying, this match hasn't even started yet, and Ambrose is attacking Dolph Ziggler, and, he's the mystery opponent. No, he wasn't. Turns out the mystery opponent was Ryback. Dean Ambrose was just beating the shit out of Ziggler because, well, he doesn't like Dolph
I
Ziggler.
see a U.S. title match coming out of this.
That's pretty much what they were just doing. They were just kind of, setting the grounds for a U.S. title match. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler is going to be awesome, but at the same time, Dolph Ziggler should be in the world title picture right now, not in the mid card picture.
Right, he's too. He was even in the world title hunt for a while until AJ and Big E did their thing. I guess that was grounds to not have him be in the title picture anymore.
Which is funny because Big E really hasn't been on television much at all since, the SummerSlam match.
Because it was awful.
Well, it wasn't awful, it was just boring.
And that wasn't Big E's fault or anything, but
They just didn't really do much.
yeah.
So basically, Ziggler gets back up, and Ryback comes out, and the match begins. Ryback is just beating the shit out of Ziggler throughout most of this match. Ziggler does come back every once in a while, and you see Ziggler do some kind of cool shit, but it ends up with Ryback giving him a shell shock, and Ryback wins. Maddox says that the Big Show is refusing to face Daniel Bryan tonight after the match. They cut to Maddox, and he says that the Big Show refuses. Stephanie McMahon says that she'll take care of it. And then another Los Matadors promo. The promo said they're coming soon, though. So, that's awesome.
I'm gonna guess after Night of Champions, like the Raw
Probably.
after, because that's the one that like
Probably.
to debut people. Is like right after the pay per view.
Well, that makes sense. You don't want them to get kind of buried in the shuffle right as a pay-per-view is coming up.
Yeah.
So, Stephanie McMahon comes out, and she calls out the Big Show. And we get one of the most painful promos because it further establishes Big Show being a big crybaby bitch, and it made me wish that the Big Boss Man were still alive. So Stephanie comes out and she calls the Big Show, and she says that the Big Show helped her when she was younger, and calls him her friend. Big Show comes out. They claim that if he helped Daniel Bryan, his ironclad contract could be rescinded. And Stephanie says she's out there to explain to him the price of his decision. She says Big Show is broke and needs money after bad investments. You see where this is going? This sound familiar to anybody? Matt, this is
um.
you come in with the answer.
John a blank actually.
They rehashed the same story of Shawn Michaels versus JBL, where Shawn Michaels was broke and basically had to be JBL's bitch slave.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that storyline. I love it. Honestly, that storyline turned around though for a little
They're
bit,
doing it. They're doing it with Big Show.
so it's awful.
But she says that Big Show is broke and he needs money and he made a bunch of bad investments. And she says that if he doesn't perform, he doesn't make money, ironclad contract or not. And Big Show's fucking crying. And Stephanie also brings up that because Big Show's a giant, giants don't live as long.
Oh dear.
So basically, Big Show, you're dying soon. You know.
Yep.
So, yeah, this promo was uncomfortable. And like I said, this basically made me want the Big Boss Man to come back, even though he's dead. I wish he came back as a fucking zombie. Seriously, at least the Big Show and Boss Man shit would have been hilarious, because the Big Boss Man is easily like the greatest heel in all of heeldom. Like, when you think of like who is the single biggest bastard of the heel, you don't top the Big Boss Man.
Right.
Even ritual sacrificing Undertaker doesn't even top Big Boss Man. Seriously, go back to like 1998 and 1999 and go watch the Big Boss Man feud with both Al Snow and Big Show. What did Big Boss Man do? Boss Man went to Big Show's father's funeral and dragged the casket off with a car and kept calling Big Show a big nasty bastard whose father's ashamed of him. And then there's also the time where he killed Al Snow's dog and fed it to him.
Yeesh.
So, Big Boss Man would have been fucking awesome in this storyline, and it's a shame that he's dead. So anyway, Stephanie says that she's sorry that the Big Show is hurting, but says that Big Show is hurting more than he is, and hugs him and then leaves Big Show crying in the ring. And strangely enough, a Y2J chant happens.
Because Chris Jericho is that fucking awesome.
Actually, I think it had more to do with the fact that Y2J, Jericho, talked shit to Stephanie all the time. And they were kind of hoping something like that would happen.
Because Jericho's fucking awesome.
We then zoom in on the Big Show, crying his eyes out before the commercial break. And here's the thing, it's not even real crying. It's like this bullshit fake crying. You just look at him and you're like, that's pathetic.
Right.
Like, it doesn't even make you, like, it makes you feel angry, but at the same time, it's, like, depressing. And not because you feel sorry for the Big Show, but because they're wasting your time.
Right.
So anyway, we then get a little promo saying that Edge returns to Raw next week.
To promote his new TV show, the new season of Haven's about to start up.
Oh, but I don't know what the hell he's going to do actual storyline wise.
Nothing.
Oh, we then cut to the backstage to the exclusive stuff on the WWE app. It's exclusive on the WWE app, but we're going to show it on television. Folks, when you say exclusive, that means that it is only available by one source. When you show that on another source, it's no longer exclusive.
Right.
Learn English.
Double E.
Learn English. This is not hard stuff. Don't use the word exclusive if it's not exclusive. If you want to say it's the first chance to see it, or something like that, or first at the scene, that's one thing. But exclusive is not the right word. That shit irks me to no end, and I'm not even an English major. But anyway, Big Show's backstage crying and throwing a shit fit and breaking shit. We then have a little promo showing us how to download the WWE app. Because if you don't know how to use a phone, you're retarded. I don't even have a smartphone, and I'm sure I could figure it out.
It's not rocket science.
It really isn't. 3MB come out. Basically the best thing on the show at the moment. I said at the moment.
Okay, I was gonna say it's a bit much.
Anyway, they have a match. Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater are in a tag match against the Primetime Players, and the Primetime Players win because don't want to piss off Glad. Don't get me wrong, I like the Primetime Players, and I always have. but it's obvious what they're doing, and I kind of
It's
don't like it.
it's kind of unfortunate actually, because
It's
this is
it's
the way they're having to get their
it's really
push.
I mean, good for Darren Young, but I don't know. It seems like they're exploiting something.
They are.
Feels that way to me.
They
Like
are.
they're exploiting Darren Young coming out as being gay. I mean, it's going in Darren Young's favor, but at the same time, it's like I don't feel any sincerity from it on WWE's end.
Oh no.
It's
No, no,
not
no.
because the primetime players are actually, I mean, they are over with the crowd, but it's not like they just suddenly realize that and that's why they're pushing them. They're pushing the primetime players simply because Darren Young came out of the closet as being gay.
Yep.
And I don't know, it just comes off as tacky and kind of like forced. Primetime players should have gotten this push a long time ago. And not because of anybody being gay or anything, but because the primetime players are entertaining and they're fun to watch.
Millions of dollars.
So we then cut backstage with Brad Maddox, and Paul Heyman walks in the room, and he's pissed off at Brad Maddox for setting up the match at Night of Champions. Triple H then comes in and says that Triple H approved the match, and Triple H says he still hates Paul Heyman, and honestly, Triple H looked like a face here. Says that no matter what happens, he wins because either Paul Heyman gets his ass kicked, or, well, there's a good match.
Everybody wins.
So Triple H always wins.
Typical.
We then uh, we then cut to a Wyatt family promo, and this was actually another great promo by the Wyatts. It was another vignette of them talking about what happened to Kane. That's pretty much what happened, and we really got no answers here. It was just Bray Wyatt kind of, talking in riddles again.
Kane is his though.
Yes, he then says that Kane's pride led to his downfall, even though what led to his downfall was a shitty match.
Unfortunately, shitty match.
I really hate saying that. It hurts me to say that, but
The
yeah.
truth hurts.
But there's no real hint as to any kind of storyline progression, although it's kind of obvious what they're doing at this point.
How long do you think they're gonna sit on it?
Till Kane's done making his movie.
So it could be a really long time. So people could see if they don't give him some, if they don't give the Wyatt something else to do, this could
Yeah,
be disastrous.
I guess this is a time to kind of talk about what they should do with the Wyatts. They need to give them a program with somebody.
Yeah,
They need to give them a program with somebody. I don't care who it is. They
because
need to give them a program.
I was reading on the dirt sheets that they haven't even started filming Cena Evil 2 yet. They're not starting it until the end of September.
Yeah,
Filming starts at the end of September.
the Wyatts need to work with somebody, and they need to do it soon. I don't care who it is at this point.
Because
I
they're
mean,
gonna lose their heat.
they are, and they already kind of are.
Yeah, because they're not doing anything, and
All they're doing is
people
squashing people.
people catch on to that.
All they're doing is squashing people, and this is one of the problems that WWE has with whenever they bring anybody in. This isn't exclusive to the Wyatts. See, this is an actual use of the word correctly, but this isn't something that they only did with the Wyatts. They do this with a lot of people that they bring in for the first time. They put them in way too many squash matches without actually doing anything, and then by the time they do actually do something with them, nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, the crowd's completely disinterested. Like they
They did
just,
this. They did that with Kozlov.
oh god, Kozlov was one of the
Kozlov
worst. He was
Kozlov was billed as a tank and like the next top heel of the company.
right,
But all they did was put him in squash matches. And by the time they actually put him in matches with the fucking Undertaker, there was nothing they could do.
and we're lucky the same thing didn't happen to Ryback.
Indeed. And the only reason why it worked with Ryback was because he got over through chance and he got over by lifting two people at once.
Yeah,
So we then have the Cody Rhodes match. Cody Rhodes comes out and crowd's pretty over. Crowd's chanting for Cody.
this is
Uh,
awesome, man. And they finally
yeah,
realized it.
yeah. Um, it's a pretty good match, honestly. This honestly, so far has been match of the week. With maybe the exception of another match that we'll talk about a little later that happens on NXT. But honestly, between this and that match, I'd probably say they're about match of the week. I wouldn't call it a main event quality match, but definitely upper mid card. Um, there's a particular spot where Cody Rhodes is going up top for a moonsault as they're chanting for him. But Randy Orton is standing and dodges it. And Cody Rhodes then lost. Clean. No shenanigans. No Shield coming out and Daniel Bryan making the save. No Daniel Bryan distracting Randy Orton to help Cody Rhodes get the win. Cody Rhodes loses. And Triple H comes out and fires him.
But
And then
then,
that's it. That's it.
but then,
None. The fans chant "Thank you, Cody," and they chant Cody Rhodes, and then CM Punk comes out. Yeah, CM Punk comes out with a Singapore cane. He then cuts a promo on Paul Heyman, saying that he's tired of talking, he wants to fight. Uh, Says he won't say anything to Heyman, but to the fans. Um, Says that they're not going to see the usual CM Punk at Night of Champions, and they might not like it. That it's basically going to be a more vicious Punk. And he says that he's going to break Heyman's face, and he promises it. And then another recap of the Paul Heyman CM Punk stuff.
because we haven't seen that enough already.
I know. So anyway, then we have some Divas bullshit. It's a fatal four-way between, or not a fatal four-way. It's a triple threat match between Natalia, Brie Bella, and Naomi, and a bunch of
Total
bullshit.
divas.
And a bunch of bullshit happens. Whoever wins is supposed to be the number one contender. AJ comes out, and it. Actually, this I have to kind of talk about because this kind of turned into a clusterfuck. Triple threat matches are supposed to be no disqualification.
Yep.
Because the idea is it's not fair to disqualify one person and give another person the win while the other person had nothing to do with it. That's the whole idea. But anyway, AJ comes in and interrupts the match, and the referee calls no contest.
Doesn't make
So,
it because the referees are, able to just bend the rules of matches like that.
but anyway, then all the divas come in and start brawling in the ring, all the total divas. And that's the end of that segment, and it was pretty stupid.
It's obvious where they're going with it, and I don't like it.
Damian Sandow has another match with Rob Van Dam, and Rob Van Dam wins. Um, Del Rio came out and stood on the stage, and Sandow attacked RVD from behind, but that didn't help him at all. Uh, the Divas are talking behind with Stephanie in the back, and she sets up a fatal four-way match at Night of Champions for the Divas title. Pretty much what you would have expected. Um, my biggest fear is that they're going to give the title to one of the other Divas just for total Divas.
And that's what I don't want to happen.
I think, honestly, AJ should keep the belt, but if they're going to give the belt to anybody else, it should be Natalya.
Yeah.
But honestly, Natalya has even been sloppy as of late, too. And then, of course, we get a recap of something that we just saw earlier, the Cody Rhodes stuff. And Cody Rhodes is being escorted from the building by security. And Josh Matthews comes in at the worst possible time and asks him stupid questions. And Cody Rhodes cuts an awesome promo. Josh Matthews is still awkward as fuck.
As you call this was the probably the best part of the show.
Yes, this was the best part of the show for me. It basically makes me look forward to when Cody Rhodes returns. And congratulations to him. He is getting married.
Yes,
I think that's the real reason why he's leaving. And I gotta say, good choice on a wife.
he knows how to pick them.
Indeed.
She's a former diva, right?
She, uh, kind of yes and no, but not really anything.
She was on the female roster though, for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't really remember her.
she was in FCW for a while as an announce woman,
Oh, that's what it was.
but it was nothing really like super major.
Right.
We then have the rest of the roster come out on stage, and they're basically forced to watch the main event between Big Show and Daniel Bryan. And I didn't mention it. I didn't mention this before, but Big Show went to talk to Daniel Bryan in the back earlier in the night because he was basically saying how he didn't want to wrestle Daniel Bryan, and he was saying they're making him though, so why don't we just kind of phone it in and just not wrestle, just go in, have the bell ring, and then walk out and get a both double disqualification or whatever. And Daniel Bryan, who comes off like a total fucking asshole here. Remember, face of the company, everybody, at this point in time. Oh, but I don't give a he basically says, I don't care about your investment problems. I don't care about your home problems. I don't care about any of that. I need to win.
Which, honestly, I see why he's like saying stuff like that.
I get what they're
It
trying
just
to
doesn't. It
establish.
doesn't work.
I get what they're trying to establish that Daniel Bryan's just got fighting spirit and he's got to win.
Fighting a spirita!
But it doesn't work here. It doesn't make Daniel Bryan seem endearing and just I compete with respect. It makes Daniel Bryan look like an asshole.
That it does.
And suddenly the Big Show's his friend, by the way. A couple
That's
months
another
ago, the
thing
Big Show.
that bothered me. Big Show hated him because Bryan turned heel on him a couple years back for his first World Heavyweight Championship reign,
Indeed.
and now it's just like, oh, Bryan, we're good friends.
I mean, Big Show wanted to kill him less than 2 months ago.
Yeah, but hey, WWE booking.
Hmm. So, yeah. After that, Big Show and Daniel Bryan come out, and Daniel Bryan's starting to kick the Big Show, and Big Show's like, "Look what you're making me do!" And he hits him and all that shit, and
I
it's just,
hated this. I came home from work right as this match was starting, and I'll tell you right now, I hated it. I would rather have stayed at work longer.
yeah, this match was just bad. This wasn't a Daniel Bryan looked like the biggest asshole throughout this match. Big Show looked like a fucking bitch. And then all of a sudden, Big Show decides to walk out, and the Shield come out and attack Daniel Bryan. And then, of course, Triple H gets in the ring, and he has the Shield hold Daniel Bryan up, and he says, "You got to get in there and punch Daniel Bryan in the face." And Big Show's like, "I'm not doing it. My contract says I don't have to. I wrestled the match. You got what you wanted." And then Stephanie comes out on the ramp and looks at him and like, "You got to do it, or else you'll be fired." Even though the ironclad contract says all he has to do is wrestle a match, he doesn't have to be their slave. You know. But this just establishes that the Big Show's a bitch.
Cause then he cries.
Because he
Like,
then starts crying. Ridiculously so. He's
and it's not
crying and
even crying. It's sweat. It's sweat just flying off his body, and it's gross.
his fucking mannerisms though are hilarious.
They
I
are.
mean, it's hilarious to watch, but this is supposed to be your main event storyline?
Mm-hmm. That was
And the
supposed to
fact
be about Daniel Bryan.
so eventually Big Show caves and punches Daniel Bryan in the face. And then of course Randy Orton comes out, walks down to the ring, gives Daniel Bryan an RKO, and then he stands over him with the title. God damn this show. This is 5 times in a span of 3 weeks, and I'm going to predict the future here and say it's going to happen again on SmackDown, that Randy Orton stands over Daniel Bryan holding the championship in the air. Her-to-dur, I'm Randy Orton, and this is the main event storyline. Seriously, it's getting old. This is
It's
getting
gotten
old.
old. It's beyond old. For me, I get that people are saying that, oh, they're advanced booking. They're looking to the future. That doesn't mean their short-term booking should be shit.
Listen, the fact is, it's okay 3 times in 3 weeks. Even 4 times. I could accept that. But you have to have Daniel Bryan look like he's at least competent. And sure, he can win a match. That's fine. But the fact is, if you have Daniel Bryan on the bottom every week, looking like a bottom bitch, nobody's going to get behind him because they're going to think, oh, he can't win. It's as simple as that.
No
People are...
one's gonna give a fuck about the Night of Champions match
No.
because
You know
they know
why?
Orton's gonna win.
They know Orton's going to win, and they know that there's going to be some kind of shenanigans.
Yep.
And if they're going to wait till the go-home show before Night of Champions to have Daniel Bryan even look remotely successful,
There's something wrong.
there's something wrong. And it doesn't have to be Daniel Bryan standing on top of everybody's dead bodies holding the belt. You know, we're not talking about Super Cena style, Daniel
Overcoming
Bryan.
the odds.
Yeah, we're not asking for that. Have Daniel Bryan escape. Have Daniel Bryan, maybe outsmart them and then get beat down. Just something different. This is literally the same ending that's been happening for 3 weeks with some slight differences. Oh, this time Big Show's crying.
And I hate the fact this is turning into a Big Show storyline too.
And unfortunately, the only reason for this is because Mark Henry was hurt.
Yep.
Which,
They were just gonna feud with the Shield over the
don't get
tag
me wrong.
belts.
I am a big fan of Mark Henry. But god damn it, Mark, why did you have to let me down?
Had to go get hurt again. But it's not even a bad injury this time. He just pulled his hamstring. There's no surgery involved.
I know. So anyway,
You know what? I know what they should do.
what?
Have Henry come back and just like bit smack Big Show and tell him to man the fuck up.
Yeah, that's what they should do.
He says, "What the fuck you doing, man? It's not what I do."
I know. But anyway, enough of that shitty Raw. Lower mid card.
Yeah, easy. Almost borderline jobber if not for Orton and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, if it weren't for Cody Rhodes, this would have been a jobber Raw. So anyway, let's move on to some good stuff. NXT.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. I've only seen a handful of NXT episodes, but when it comes to everything besides the main event, this is probably one of my least favorites. And that's
this was a slow week.
It was because they really touched on my wrestling pet peeve.
Yeah, this was a slow week. We start off with a tag team match between Bayley and Charlotte, who is Ric Flair's daughter, versus...
oh my god, Bayley's got such a great ass.
Yes, let's establish that we're perfect on this show. But Bayley and Charlotte versus Alicia Fox, who we don't know if she's heel or face, and Oksana,
who also has a great ass, for the record,
and is still there for some reason. But anyway, not a whole lot here.
Shitty ending.
Yeah, although there was that one spot with Oksana. God damn, girl! I mean, she was crawling around on the fucking ring like she was in a fucking porno. I mean, don't get me wrong, not that we necessarily have a problem with that here at the Superplex Brothers, but at the same time, she definitely wouldn't be doing that shit on the main shows. They'd be firing her ass for that.
It's because they don't have to worry about being on
American television.
American television.
Indeed. But anyway, this match ends with kind of a botched roll-up kind of thing. I
fucking hate roll-up endings. I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. I hate them.
But it's one thing when the roll-up actually means something and is actually like, oh, he's smart, not just arbitrary. Like Bayley got the snuck a tag in, which honestly looks like they're setting up for a feud between Bayley and Charlotte because of that. But she got a quick tag in and hit Oksana then kind of rolled up Alicia Fox. Or maybe it was the other way around. I don't remember. I really don't care. Um, Nowhere near as good as the match from last week, as far as Divas matches go.
Not even close.
I mean, it was better than what you would get on Raw and SmackDown, but that's really not saying much.
Yep.
Um, the next match was I think we got Graves and or not
Graves.
Graves versus
Graves
Rick
and
Victor.
Victor.
Um,
Boring.
Boring. This match was boring.
It wasn't that it was a bad match. It was just boring.
It was just slow. It really wasn't a bad match, but it was slow. It was pretty slow. Um, Another roll up.
I got
Although
fucking pissed. Now this
well,
one made more sense,
this one made more sense,
but two
especially
roll up
consider,
finishes back to back pissed me off.
especially considering that Graves is supposed to be hurt. It makes sense. But again, back to back, not all that necessary. I think the funniest moment was after the match when Corey Graves was already out of the ring and Adrian Neville was on the ropes and Connor O'Brien just comes in the ring and whacks Adrian Neville for like no reason. That was
Yeah.
pretty fun. That was probably the highlight of this match. Was that moment, and that was after the match. We then go to the back and see.
Summer
I don't know
Rae and
which
Sasha.
that was first. I don't know
I
which one
think
was
it was.
first.
I think so.
But Sasha is in the back putting on makeup, and Summer Rae talks to her. And honestly,
Summer
we
Rae looked like she wanted to just have a
yeah,
make out session.
oh yeah, we were definitely feeling a lot of sexual tension during this fucking thing. I mean, we thought that we were going to Carpet City here.
But Summer Rae is really, really hot. But seems to be a running theme with NXT divas here.
Yeah,
Because then we heard from Paige.
yeah. We then had an interview from
She's
Paige,
she's
and
perfect.
she said some shit.
She's
We
the
then move
chomp.
on to Sylvester Lafort in the back. Oui, oui, man on me. You know, oui, oui, ha, ha, ha. But he's talking with Scott Dillon or whatever the hell his name is. Uh, and then they show big motherfucking Rusev, and Rusev smashes a board with Mason Ryan's name on it because they're trying to talk about getting back at Mason Ryan. And we then have Alexander Rusev versus Mason Ryan. Rusev comes out in a fucking loincloth
Yep.
and breaks another board. And Batista Jr., I mean Mason Ryan, comes out.
And
And yeah.
and then a surprisingly decent match happens.
Yes, we had a good old fashioned Hoss Fest. And Alexander Rusev?
Spinning heel kick.
Alexander Rusev is fucking awesome. Definitely, definitely awesome. I can't wait for him to go to the main roster. Um, Pretty awesome for a big man.
Oh,
Dude,
we were shocked.
dude is built like a fucking fridge, though. I mean, it's ridiculous how huge that man is.
That's why
Um,
McMahon likes him so much.
I have to say, one of the coolest moments of this match, though, was in the opening match when you saw the collar elbow tie-up. They had a shot from the ceiling. Some really cool camera angle work there. Definitely,
It looked like for the first time you could see them actually trying to get the struggle on who was gonna
yeah.
start the match off.
The only thing I didn't like about this match was that, and it makes sense, but at the same time, trying to establish Rusev as this fucking monster, and of course he wins by interference.
Ugh.
I didn't really care for that, but that being said, Rusev has a lot of potential to be the next really big monster, and I like that. There's always room for monsters in wrestling. We then move on to the main event. Sami Zayn versus Jack Swagger. Awesome match.
It's
Not as
really
good as not as good as Cesaro versus Zayn, but still a really awesome match. Unfortunately, it was sullied.
there was a travesty of justice
It was
by
depressing.
Bo Dallas, and immediately the crowd
was pissed.
They were fucking furious.
They were pissed. They turned to Bo and were chanting "No more Bo," which is the crowd was hot this whole match. I mean, they broke out in the Olay chants. They broke out in Sami Zayn chants. They were chanting "We the People" when Swagger
This
came out.
and this is awesome happened a couple times.
Yeah, it was a great match. But Bo Dallas ruined it. Bo Dallas came out and distracted Sami Zayn. Jack Swagger got the ankle lock in, which they now call the Patriot lock. Although, little funny story about that. It was originally called the Patriot Act, but Cole kept fucking it up, calling it the Patriot Lock, so that just kind of stuck.
Typical Cole.
Way to go, Michael Cole.
Ruining everything.
I know. Bastard. Anyway, that ends the show. NXT?
Upper mid card.
Upper mid card. I mean, it was a
This
slow week.
the
It was a
first
slow
half.
week.
The first half was meh. The second half made up for it.
Yeah, it was a slow week by NXT standards, but it's still better than Raw and SmackDown.
Yep.
And whatever wrestling show happens to come on Thursday.
Some weird wrestling thing. I don't know what it is.
Anyway, moving on. I guess heel of the week.
Heel of the week once again for the second time in 3 episodes, which is as a sign. Dixie Carter is the heel of the week. Why? Because instead of attending the most recent Impact Wrestling, I guess that's that show that comes on Thursdays, instead of attending the taping for her own company's show, she went to a college football game instead, and that's just further adding to the uneasiness in the TNA locker room. We're getting a lot of original ECW vibes with money payments and such. And we've mentioned this before, but I think TNA is it's starting to bleed out.
I give them a year, 2 tops.
If that, they're fucking up.
Yeah, I give them a year, 2 tops. I mean, people have been saying that for a year, but you know, the they're in the twilight at the moment. The sun is setting on TNA.
And that's their own fault.
Honestly,
They used to be decent.
part of me does think it's sad because say what you will about TNA, they were an alternative to an extent, but at the same time, they deserve it.
Yes, they do.
They absolutely deserve it without a shadow of a doubt. Not because of their business practices, their booking, they deserve it. There was a reason why people called it WCW 2, and that wasn't an endearing comment. That was an insult because it was straight up like 2001 WCW vibes.
And that's just gotten worse over the past couple years.
Some people unfortunately think that without TNA, though, there really won't be any other competition to come up. But that's not entirely true. There's already competition. I mean, sure, it's the indies, but it's at least something.
Yeah, I mean, there's never gonna be, WWE is probably gonna be on top for probably.
For a good long while, unless somebody with here's the difference between TNA and WCW. The reason why WCW did as well as it did was because they also had the nearly infinite wealth of Ted Turner backing them up.
Yep.
The Carter family is like a ripple in the ocean compared to Ted Turner's wealth.
Right.
But I guess that's the heel of the week.
Yep. So hopefully it would be nice where we don't have to have heel of the weeks, but
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll eventually have a face of the week.
John
Or
Cena.
not. Or not.
John Cena granted another wish today.
Yeah, no. We're sticking with heel of the week. So anyway, with that, I guess we move on to video games. So,
Okay.
in video game news this week,
Not much. Not much. First off,
not
slow
much,
week.
but some slow week, but some big things still kind of happened. The first thing, I guess, which is kind of a quick thing that happened, the Xbox One did get a release date.
November 22nd for any Xbox One people who have pre-ordered. You will be getting your console right before Thanksgiving, right before Black Friday. Also, the same day the 360 launched.
I was just gonna mention that. I guess this is kind of their way of saying, "See, we're still cool."
Yeah, we're still. But see now, so the PS4 is gonna get about a week head start for sales.
Not that it really mattered anyway,
Not
because the PS3 got a fucking massive head start on sales anyway, because people realized, oh wait, the PS4, you know, it doesn't suck.
I mean the Xbox One. They're trying really hard to turn it around, but like a lot of the gaming community is in agreement on, the damage is done.
Yeah, and honestly, once they kind of did what they did, and there's still other things wrong with the Xbox One. The DRM stuff is a huge issue, but at the same time, the fact that they redacted that doesn't mean that Xbox One is completely out in the clear.
Oh no, and
There's still that whole issue with Kinect.
they can also bring it back at any time. It's patched out. That's
Yeah,
all. The software just isn't active.
yeah. So I personally won't be getting an Xbox One. I didn't get a 360. I won't be getting an Xbox One, and it's not an issue of that I just hate Microsoft, or at least I didn't. It wasn't an issue that I just didn't hate Microsoft. I honestly didn't see the purpose in owning both consoles because, I really don't care about Microsoft's first party properties. And the third party stuff I can get on the PS3, and I like the PS3 controller.
Yep. And honestly, as a guy who's got over half his PS4 paid off, it's just a better investment anyway.
And in my case, also, the PS3 had free online. So,
Yep. And while the PS4 doesn't have free online, it's not let it's you have to pay just to get online, and that's all you're paying for.
it's affordable.
Yeah, it's affordable, and you get a whole bunch of free shit.
So, definitely worth it. And with that, it's time to talk about Pokemon.
Oh man.
So,
Oh man.
yesterday, actually, as of this recording, um, it was Wednesday. Actually, they had a Pokemon Direct, and well, we're not going to go over the whole thing, but we're going to go over the major stuff. Um, there are a couple things that were brought up with Pokemon X and Y. The first thing that they brought up was Pokemon Bank, which is going to be a system where you can store Pokemon on it. However, it's basically like a cloud service where you can store your Pokemon and take them out whenever you want. There is going to be an annual fee though, and from what I've heard, it's only like $5 a year
Yeah, it's like $5 a year, but people are saying they're upset by it. Um,
because they shouldn't have to pay it all.
they shouldn't have to pay it all, which is typical shit from the internet. But they could be charging $30 a month
And not only
instead,
that, but the biggest thing, this isn't mandatory to play the game.
right?
This is an optional service. And here's the other part that comes with Pokemon Bank as to why this service might be worth it is because there's also an app that's coming out called Poke Transfer, which is going to allow you to transfer your Pokemon from Black and White and Black and White 2 to this thing. You could transfer Pokemon from previous generations and put them in the Pokemon Bank for you to take into this game. The unfortunate side to this is they haven't really quite mentioned it yet as to whether or not this is true, but it's looking like this might be the only way to transfer previous gen Pokemon into X and Y,
Which that will suck,
which that is kind of shitty. But someone like myself who's never really done that before, that's not something that's a deal breaker for me.
right?
Um, so honestly, it sounds pretty interesting. And they said the only reason why they're even charging anything is because they plan to keep up with it maintenance wise, and they also plan on having it in future games.
Yep.
So that is the plan.
It's gonna be a thing, and I think it's gonna be beneficial.
Indeed, I think it's going to be pretty snazzy. And
I'm gonna
with the
get it.
3DS being as online capable as it is, honestly, I think it could work well.
Yeah, but that's not the biggest bit of Pokemon
That's
news coming out of that.
no, and this one. I got mixed reactions. I really do. They basically announced that you are going to get 2 starters in Pokemon X and Y. You are going to
3,
get,
essentially, if you count the Torchic that's being distributed for free at launch.
yeah, that's true, but you're going to get 2 starters if you don't get the actual launch Torchic. You are going to get, of course, one of the Gen 6 starters. You know, I forget their names. Fennekin, Froakie, and Chespin, I think.
Yeah, that
But
sounds right.
you're going to get one of them first, and you're going to get them from a friend of yours. Then, when you actually meet the professor, you're going to get one of the Gen 1 starters. Charizard, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle.
Charmander.
Or Charmander. Whatever.
I would hope he wouldn't get Charizard. That'd be pretty OP.
And here's the biggest news. Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise all have Mega Evolutions. Now we have to talk about Mega Evolutions.
Now, I will say this on my opinion on having all the starters. Now, I don't understand the whole purpose of the new starters anymore.
This is what I was going to kind of mention. This is why I said it's mixed reactions. I mean, it's a nice gesture. Part of me doesn't really like it because what is the point in giving me the starters or the Kanto starters when you want me to use the Gen 6 starters? Because if I have a Kanto starter, I don't need your other starter. And not only that, but it also limits which new Pokemon you want to use of their particular type.
Yep.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Why would I bother? Let's say I get Fennekin, and I decide I want a water Pokemon as well, and I get Squirtle. Why should I bother getting any new water types to try out if I have Squirtle? Or any grass type to try out, or fire type? You know?
And that's gonna affect the online scene,
I
like
mean, it's one
drastically.
thing. I mean, it's one thing when you have one starter that takes over that slot, but that's only one. You're basically giving up 2 spots for starters.
And if you're like me, you're probably gonna lose 3.
Yeah, because you're gonna have the Torchic as well.
And the Torchics are gonna have the Megastone.
Yeah, they're gonna have the Torchic's gonna have a Mega Evolution. The 3 Kanto stars are gonna have a Mega Evolution. There's no word as to whether or not the new starters are gonna have a Mega Evolution, which I hope they do, so they at least make them relevant.
Yeah, give it, and they need to be. I hate to say this, but to make people want to use these over the Kanto stars, I think they kind of want you to choose. If
Yeah, and I'm also gonna, speaking of the Mega Evolutions, I think it's time we talk about how broken these are becoming.
I was just gonna say that they need to make the ones for the Gen 6 starters. They need to be broken. You
My
need to have
God,
some reason to get the new starters.
my God. Let's start with. We'll go from the most broken to the least broken. And we're only going to be talking about the starters here. We have talked about Mega Evolutions before on my channel, my YouTube channel, Iron Fury,
We had a
and
huge Pokemon discussion. You should
we
go
had a
check it
huge
out. It was
Pokemon
really,
discussion on this.
really good.
It was kind of the prototype for this podcast,
Yeah, it's
but
what led to this podcast. Really.
we talked about Mega Evolutions before and what we think about them. And honestly, my opinions have not changed because of this. My opinions are still the same. That this is, basically game breakers, and that can be an okay thing in single player,
Yeah.
but it's still not that great. Charizard's Mega Evolution. Looks wise, it looks pretty cool. No
It looks
change
like a
to
fucking dragon, but
no
despite the fact
change
it's not a dragon type.
no change to type though. That's a good thing. Because if this thing got fire and dragon, it would have been super broken. It would have been more broken than it is now. They gave it increased special attack, and they gave it the drought ability. Drought ability, if you don't know, was an ability that was basically exclusive to Groudon for a long time. And what it would do is it would basically automatically have Sunny Day up for as long as he was on play. And Sunny Day boosts fire type moves. So you basically have a fire Pokemon who is going to get stab increases from fire moves. He's now going to get increased special attack, And it's going to get boosted from Sunny Day. Good fucking God.
A flamethrower from this Mega Charizard is going to be vicious.
Indeed.
And a Fire Blast, rest in peace, your Pokemon. Just is
Yeah.
dead.
If the only thing that they would have to do to make this thing even worse would be if they gave it some kind of hidden ability if they gave like dual abilities that activate at the same time, and it also had one that like is always accurate or something like that, or increased
Oh
accuracy,
my god.
this thing would be unstoppable. Or parental bond. Good God, if it had parental bond. But anyway, next,
There's one thing I do want to say real fast that can segue into the next Mega Evolution here. This could be the only Pokemon that's a threat to Mega Venusaur.
yeah, that's the one we're talking about next. Mega Venusaur. Also broken, Mega Venusaur will be getting a boosted special defense and defense, and will be getting the Thick Fat ability. Thick Fat basically reduces the ice and fire type power in half. Ice and fire are super effective against grass types. Basically, with the increased defense and special defense, plus this ability, Venusaur will be getting normal damage from moves that are supposed to be super effective. And Venusaur is already defensive enough. You put the proper moveset on this thing, and it will become a monster. It will stall you and laugh at you. And I can attest to this with a regular Venusaur.
Right. And as I said, the only thing that's a threat to it is Mega Charizard. As of right now,
Yeah,
it's the only thing that's a threat to it.
and maybe a Groudon.
Yeah, but once again, how many of those are you going to encounter in the game?
Exactly. Exactly. We then move on to the least interesting
Best
of the
design.
best design, but least interesting abilities wise and stats wise, and that's Mega Blastoise. Honestly, I think he got the shaft. Uh, no pun intended. But
Ah!
he did get the shaft when it comes to actual like boosts. His ability is Mega Cannon, which basically increases the power of pulse moves. As of this recording, there were only two pulse moves in Pokemon: Water Pulse and Dark Pulse. Blastoise only gets stabbed from one of them, Water Pulse, and I don't think there was any mention if it got any kind of increased stats. Was there?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not like Charizard and Venusaur who got increased special attack and defense and all that shit. No, Venusaur didn't, Blastoise didn't get any of that, and instead all it got was, oh, Water Pulse is actually going to hurt.
Yep.
Dark Pulse it can't even take advantage of because it doesn't get stabbed from that.
Yep.
So Blastoise, coolest design,
Worst ability.
shittiest abilities.
Easily.
Um, honestly, I'm still convinced that Mega Evolutions, you know, they might be fun, but I don't think that they're, as Triple H would say, what's best for business.
Oh man.
I had to. I
Oh
had
man.
to. But it's true. You know it's true. That's why it hurts.
That's true.
I'm really starting to think that these Mega Evolutions are maybe not outright a bad thing, but definitely not a good thing. I mean, I guess I have to wait and see them in action before I really, really have a full opinion on them. But right now, I'm not liking the sound of these.
I'm liking I think the best part about these is some of the designs.
That's pretty much it.
Yep.
With that, is there really anything else to talk about?
I don't think so. I think this is going to be a short episode this week. Not that that's
Yeah,
really a bad thing, but as we said from the beginning, it was a sort of slow week.
slow week on the video game front. That's really all we have to talk about.
Yeah.
Uh,
Until the next couple weeks, it's probably going to stay that way.
yeah, I mean, I know people were at PAX this week, and
Nothing really happened at PAX. Normally we get some announcements out of PAX. We didn't really get anything notable this year.
And it's not like either of us went, so
Yeah.
can't even tell you how we did, But yeah, I guess now it's time to talk about our YouTube channels.
Alright, so I guess I'll just get mine out of the way. I have finished my Japanese playthrough of Pirate Warriors 2. And every year I have this thing called Zombie Month. Even though this particular YouTube channel is only not even a year old yet, but on my old channels, my friends and I used to do Zombie Month every September because everyone does it in October, so why not do it in September? And this year is no different. I have begun a playthrough of Lollipop Chainsaw. The game's over the top and wonderful. The dialogue is witty and hilarious. The gameplay is basic but yet addictive. So if you want to see a, a wacky game from Suda 51, I would go check that out. But besides that, I do have an English playthrough of Pirate Warriors 2 ready to begin, but that hasn't actually started yet. So that's all that's really going on my channel.
Indeed, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because on my channel, Saints Row the Third is taking a backseat for a little while. There's just we really haven't had the time to record as much, and not to mention with Saints Row 4 coming out, we've kind of lost interest in Saints Row 3 for a little bit.
I have. It's hard. It's gonna
Um,
be hard for me to go backwards. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys right now.
there's still some episodes that can be uploaded that haven't been uploaded yet, but after that, there's really not going to be much for Saints Row for a while. Tecmo World Wrestling is coming slowly but surely. It just needs its narrations for that. And going back to One Piece, um, I got One Piece Pirate Warriors 2,
Thanks to me.
thanks to Matt. And I don't know much about One Piece. I've watched maybe a tiny little bit of it. I know the basic premise, but other than that, I'm really not. I don't read the manga at all. I don't watch the anime that much. But Matt is a super fan of it, and Matt is basically going to be leading a project on my channel where we play One Piece Pirate Warriors 2.
Because it has online co-op.
It has online co-op, so we're going to be playing it on my channel, and it's basically going to be titled "Matt Makes Me Play."
That's what he's calling it, but he is playing it of his own accord.
Yeah, I did voluntarily choose to play it, but because I'm giving the reins to Matt, you know, it's basically going to be his project, but on my channel.
Yep. So essentially, that I am officially going to be in Pirate Warriors 2 Overload.
Yeah, which this will be the first time you're playing the game in English, from what
It
I
is.
understand.
It will be. I have played it in
So,
Japanese multiple times, but I have yet to really start the game in English yet.
indeed. So I'm really looking forward to that. We're probably going to start recording that next week.
Yep. You're probably just gonna, because you have to unlock everything
I
first
have to
anyway.
unlock the online stuff first, so.
Yep. And you probably want some. We can't do levels that we both haven't unlocked.
Oh, so.
So we need to go take out a few levels so we can have videos going on. Because they don't want
But
you to basically break the system and get all the coins, which are power ups.
so I do have to play it by myself first.
Yes, I believe so. I could be wrong, but I don't think it will save the levels. I, I'm
So you
I'm pretty sure they want you to play it on your own first.
Okay, so I will do that first. I'll probably do that today, actually,
Yeah, we'll
because I
probably
don't
get
have much.
started on that soon.
And then either next week or the week after, we will get started on that.
Yep.
But of course, that being for the Iron Fury channel, and Matt's stuff being for RMG Punk. And with that,
One more thing. Anime Jump
oh yeah, this.
is is not a legitimate website. I'm actually posting this podcast on the Facebook page for Anime Jump, which has almost 900 likes within a little over 24 hours.
And we hope some of that success comes over to the SuperPlex Brothers page.
Yes, we do.
And don't get me wrong, we love each and every one of you that has liked us so far. But
We need
hey, it's
more.
always good to get more exposure.
Yep, but I think that's it. If you want to go check out Anime Jump, don't hesitate. I believe Dave should add that to the show notes.
Yeah, I probably should. I don't even think I have the show notes up for part 2 yet.
Well, we should probably get on that shit, man.
I know. Not for nothing, but I thought you were gonna kind of take care of that since we don't really have any links to put up. But whatever, I'll do
But
it, I guess.
Yeah, you could do something. No, I'm just messing. But I think that's it then.
that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'm Dave,
I'm Matt.
and we are the Superplex Brothers. And until next time, take care.